One more nigga trying to stop me. They can get some drag in the mouth. Okay, so that's the base coat of one of my player characters done. Is this glaze? No, that glaze is still drying, so we'll leave him for the time being. It's another one of the player characters. Inquisitor, well, sorry, Interrogator Crenatori. He's looking alright. I kind of wish I'd given him a bit more. Let's get him under the light a bit. Kind of wish I'd given that a little bit more of a highlight, but I can live with it. I feel like I should highlight his coat a little bit more, but there's bits on there that I'm going to have to shade again. Forgotten how to repaint them. Where's it gone? There it is. Just have to hope that works. Should be alright though. Actually, let's get that bit covered as well. There's a little bit there that I'm not so happy with. Okay, put him to one side for the time being as well. Ah, the guy's gone mental. Okay, what next then? So I've got 3 player characters that are sitting drying. He could probably do with a little bit of highlight, but he's not a huge concern at the moment. Neither is he. Tell you what, let's get my Poxwalkers finished off because they do look a little bit, ironically for Poxwalkers, they do look a little bit grungy and gritty. Could do a little bit of highlight just to kind of lift them slightly. So let's get them done. They've basically all been base coated and washed. So it's just a little bit of highlight and then some detail work, but even then the detail work shouldn't be a huge problem. So small dry brush. Yep, my knackered old small dry brush. And niblet green, that'll do. It's been a while since I've used this. Is it still in any decent condition? Turns out yes. Oh, I'll tell you what, let's actually get some of that load off the brush before I start trying to paint with the damn thing. Just go for a subtle little highlight. Build up on the chest a little bit, just to hide that flipping ridiculous mark that I've got on his chest now. Now these guys in the campaign tomorrow, speaking of which, Liam, Kat and Andy, if you're watching, which I don't think you are, but if you are, close your ears. These guys are they're standing in for some bio-enhanced men from the Hive City, Hive Sibyllus, that the guys are going to be messing around in tomorrow. Essentially, you've got an Adeptus Mechanicus, in fact that's probably a better one, an Adeptus Mechanicus tech priest who's got a thing for techno heresy, who's been taking people hostage. And these are the results of her handiwork. I'm pretty much just using Poxwalkers because I've got some Chaos Cultists off to one side that I'm going to be using to stand in for the what do you call them? It's gone. Gang members. That's the one. So the gang members in there, because we're talking in Sibyllus, they are the whole adventure takes part in the lower hive. So for anybody who doesn't know 40k, essentially hive cities are like 10-mile tall superstructures that house entire cities. So they're like giant hive blocks. And the lower hive is where the poorest people of the hive live, usually trapped there, either by socio-political reasons, for they're locked in gang culture, any number of reasons. Just poverty, outright poverty is usually the main reason. But the lower hive is where most of the crime happens. So the gangs are being represented by my Chaos Cultists, with the Poxwalkers representing the guys who have been experimented on. He's looking pretty good. I'm happy with him for the time being. So let's just carry on. You'll notice if you spend any decent amount of time watching me paint that I'm not usually one for layering. I'm an incredibly lazy painter, and getting any decent amount of painting done out of me is rare. To give you an idea, I've been collecting 40k now for 20 years. Which, fun fact, it turns out is currently 2/3 of its entire existence. It's a little bit freaky. And in that time, I've only ever completed, well, I say completed, I've only ever painted up what even could be described as 2 armies. And both of those were painted up in sometime in the last 2 years. They are my Tyranid army, which I absolutely love and adore, and that is incredibly simple. That's just a I'm trying to think. It's Ushabti bone these days. I'm still thinking in terms of like late 90s paint colours, which is like bleached bone was what the colour scheme was originally based around. But it is, so it's an Ushabti bone base, usually an undercoat, truth be told, followed by Null Noil. I think it's either Null Noil or Agrax Earthshade wash, and then highlighted with a relatively heavy dry brush of... I can't remember what it's called. No, it's not Terminus Est, or Terminus Stone, or whatever it is. Terminus Est, the bloody plague shit, man. But anyway, essentially a much lighter, kind of slightly off-white highlight. And again, that's just dry brushed. And then over the top of that, you've got Genestealer Purple highlighted with a lighter purple. Again, can't remember the name. As like the armor plate colours. I don't know if you can hear it, by the way, but I'm currently listening to Chance the Rapper, so... Big fan of hip-hop music. Okay, now when it comes to dry brushing, my only worry is large segments. And unfortunately... Oh no, it's got a bit of texture to it. Unfortunately, this Poxwalker has got a particularly large belly, and I'm a little worried that it's going to come out not looking amazing. Well, I'd say it's not coming out too badly. Like I said, it's got a little bit of texture to it, and if I can't, I'm going to be adding Nurgle's Rot, which is the pus technical paint, which should give it a little bit more interest and a little bit more colour, which should be nice. Should give it a bit of a more interesting Nurgle-ish look. You got any questions? I think there's a person or two in here. If you got any questions, feel free to stick them down in the comments. I'm keeping an eye out with my phone down here. If not, just this is probably going to be what the live stream's mostly about. I might stick it up later. I still might stick a VOD up, but who knows? But realistically, don't expect a huge amount of commentary from me. I'll probably try and keep chatting just so you're not sitting watching us. But just getting some prep done before my game tomorrow. I thought bollocks. I thought I may as well provide some content, because you never know, it might be useful to somebody. Number 3 done. This could be the harder one. It's quite dark. It's quite dark wash on this one as well. But there's not an awful lot of space. It's quite a complex mini, this one. The other ones have been relatively simple. Whereas this one's got, belts around him, he's got pus dribbling down him, he's got all sorts going on. Which is going to look awesome when he's finished. So it's making a bit more of a dick to paint. Also more interesting to paint, so I shouldn't complain. Ah, come on, man. I love someone who spent so much of the time dry brushing that I have the hang of it by now. Well, that might be all I can do with him. Oh no, there's a bit more I can do up the top there. Okay, now from one extreme to the other. That one had a ton of detail. Ton of stuff going on there. And this one this one's mostly just green. So let's just crack right on with him. Since his highlight's pretty much what is going to be what gives him interest. Whereas the other one's at least got a bit detail to take from the fact, or to distract from the fact that there's not quite as much going on with the highlighting. I'll tell you what, mate. Like I said before, I've been collecting 40k on and off, really. But, since 1997, which I've just realised is probably longer than a lot of people on YouTube have been born, or have been alive even. But I was going to say something. Yeah, so I started playing during the latter days of 2nd edition 40k. That was the game that I learned with armor safe modifiers, like the days when Terminators really were unkillable. Taking 4+ armor saves on 2d6 added together. So you had to roll like Snake Eyes or a 1 and a 2 to die, or to kill them even. It was crazy. In fact, the days where, here's a fun little throwback for you. Back in the day, back in '97, Imperial Assassins could take Terminator armor, so they were dying on, like, what would it be? It would be a 1, there was a... Oh, wait, so no, it would be a 2 in... That'd be a 2 in... a 2 in 11 chance. Maybe it was more common. Anyway, maybe it's a 3+ on two dice. I have no idea. Anyway, this is complete. I'm just rambling now. What was I saying? Yeah, these are the days when you could give Imperial Assassins like Terminator armor, displacer fields, ridiculous things. Anyway, the whole point of what I'm saying, the whole point of what I'm bloody rambling on about, is plastics these days. Like the plastics GW are putting out are extraordinarily expensive, don't get me wrong. But their quality is so high. So high. Like, you can say what you want about Games Workshop. And trust me, I say a lot of things about Games Workshop. But there are 2 things they do better than anybody else, and that's IP, like 40k, love or hate Matt Ward, is an incredible intellectual property. Absolutely incredible. As I think is really, really well evidenced by the fact that, for example, my wife has no interest in playing the game. Although I swear I'll get you there, babe. But she took a real interest in the Horus Heresy books. The setting is incredible, regardless of whether or not you like the game. The setting is incredible. The other thing is their miniatures are so good. Like these plastics are incredible. They're like I have old metal miniatures, which is what what Games Workshop's high quality minis used to be made of, was white metal. It had really pretty good fidelity. And these plastic minis put them to shame now. Like, just incredible things that they managed to do with these things. Like the Primaris Marines that I've got up there from the easy to build ones. They're not even, the multi-part kit yet. And they're beautiful. They're so nice to convert. They're easy to convert, relatively. And they just look amazing. I mean, come on, the first minis no, that's a lie. In fact, yeah, the first minis I ever got were multi-part Space Marines. And they were shocking. I loved them, but they were shocking. Oh, crap. Might have to give this another wash, because that was brutal, what I just did to his chest there. So yeah, be happy that you don't live in the mid-90s. That said, though, second edition's still my favourite. Still my favourite edition of 40k. I love 8th edition. No, 7th edition was fine. No problems with it, but I don't play competitively, and I don't tend to play against other people very often. So, I enjoyed 7th edition enough. But there was just an awful lot of looking through rule books and codices and trying to work out what you could do and what you couldn't do. 8th edition feels a lot more organic. Feels a lot less like you're trying to hunt around. In fact, yeah, you're not trying to hunt around. As a general rule for, special rules, it's kind of nice. All the special rules, as far as I'm aware, are all in one place. All the data sheets have pretty much all the information you need to run that unit, which is nice. Second edition, though, it's been a long time since I played it, and I realise the older I get, the more I realise quite how complex it was. Like, it wasn't designed for for big armies. Games bogged down relatively quickly, but it was fun. Like, it had so much customization, and so many wild bits of war gear, like old school vortex grenades, rad grenades. Like las cannons with -9 armor, -9 armor, armor mods and that kind of thing. Wow, it was just a lot of fun. That said, I was probably too young to really play the game as intended, so I think the version that I played was a lot more simplified than what a lot of people played. Cool. So that's the highlight done on the Poxwalkers. So I'm gonna have to decide: do I want to? Yeah, I am actually gonna get in there with. I'm gonna get in there and do the highlight on the trousers as well. This is assuming that I have anything to do that with at the moment. Terminus stone. Praxetti white. We'll give it a really light shot with the Terminus stone. Very quickly. So I just realised I haven't done this yet. Let's post up on on Instagram that I'm doing this. Cool. Okay, we're getting there. I can't remember what my Can't remember what my YouTube channel's called. Edit profile. I think that'll get you there. Let's try. That page isn't available. Okay, well that's not great. Let's share the link then. Keep the link. I'm alive. Probably should have done this earlier, shouldn't I? Sorry, anybody who's watching. I'm not currently on YouTube though, so I'm not sure if anybody is watching. Okay, is that bringing us up? Yes, it is. Get in. There we go. Instagram is sorted. Means I can get back to actually doing what I'm meant to be doing. Oh. Just thought I could do this in, you know what, let's just do it in a very, very light terminus stone, just to give it a little bit of a lift. I don't want to go crazy with this. Especially since it's over grass. Terminus stone's not really... Is it doing it? I'll probably give it a green... In fact, you know what? Let's do it. Let's just run with it. And then we'll give the mini a green wash afterwards. Thankfully it'll work for the horns though. Just realised, like, regardless of whether it works on the jeans, which I think it will do, frankly, once I've given it another like a green wash. It'll work on like all the spikes and bits of bone coming out of it. So we'll call him done for the time being. Although I still feel like something may be missing. But we'll get there. We'll get there. At least the bone's looking good. I'm happy with the bone. Probably do the faces as well, mind. I tend to avoid doing like painting eyes wherever possible. If only because I'm not very good at them. I feel like faces are it's very easy to ruin a mini with a bad face. And I'm not generally very good at faces. So, rather than get better at them, I just don't do them, as a general rule. However, these poxwalkers are so expressive, and the faces are such a part of the mini that I don't think I'll get away with not painting them. So I'm going to have to do that. Just fine, you know, I'll just take a little bit extra care. And that should be fine. Besides, it'll be good practice. Sorry about the occasionally awful camera angle as well. I'm having to use my because I'm downstairs. I'm streaming on my MacBook, which means I don't have access to quite as much in the way of... What the hell is this song? I'll have to go check that in a second. Oh, I've just never gotten this far through the album. Okay. Yeah, it means I've got far less in the way of streaming setup. So I've got very little cameras, very few cameras and that kind of thing that would fit in this situation. So currently having to use my MacBook's built-in microphone and camera, and my old iPhone. So apologies for that. Hopefully you're not bored out of your mind anyway. I'm also planning, if anybody's interested, I might get it done tonight. I may have to do it tomorrow night, or days tomorrow, Thursday, Friday. Looking more like Friday, truth be told. But doing a video on how I've... oh crap. Yeah, a video on how I've adapted the Edge of Darkness, which is the adventure that I'm running tomorrow. It's historically, it's a free Fantasy Flight adventure module for Dark Heresy. But I don't want to run Dark Heresy because my players don't know it. They do, however, know Index Card RPG, which if you follow the blog or this channel, or frankly anything that I've done D&D wise, you'll know is Hanker and Fernale's Hanker and Fernale's RPG system, the creator of Drunkards and Dragons, and it's a system that I very much like. I'm not quite as bullish about it as some people, which is fine, you know, each their own. But it's found a real audience among people who aren't so much a fan of the complexity of D&D. It's something I've never had an issue with. I love the complexity of D&D. I just realised that it's not the be-all and end-all. And I like the simplicity that ICRPG offers. So it's a game that I use to complement D&D rather than replace it. It's also a great game that you should immediately go and buy. I was a very early adopter to it. Pretty much as soon as it became available on Drive-Thru-RPG, which is where it's sold. I bought the PDF for like $17 or something, which, as far as I'm concerned, is worth the price of admission for the Game Mastery section alone. You know, not everybody agrees. And then recently I got my hardback cover, because I finally bit the bullet. Even though the edition's out of date, there's been some changes to it since then, which will be incorporated into print versions. I think he's waiting until version 2.0. I could be wrong about that. Don't quote me. But yeah, I thoroughly recommend going and getting the PDF and joining the. In fact, if you're all interested in ICRPG, here's a suggestion: go and join the Google Plus group. You don't need to be you don't need to have bought ICRPG. Go and join it. It's it's completely free, but it's filled with phenomenally talented people who are punting out fantastic content, and it'll give you a real idea what it feels like to be in the ICRPG community, because it really is one of the best communities I've ever been a part of. Absolutely phenomenal, and just filled with some of the most ridiculously talented people I've ever met, be it online or off. So there's my tip for the day. Go join that group, and then fall in love with it and buy ICRPG. In fact, actually, there's another thing for you. If you're interested in the system, want to see it played, then check out. I have my first live stream with two of my old Patreon supporters, going through Last Flight of the Red Sword, which is a fantastic adventure, written by Hanker Inferno. It's in ICRPG. That'll kind of give you an idea of what it feels like to play, and kind of the speed of it and how quickly it goes. What it feels like to be constantly in initiative order. Also, obviously, check out Drunkens and Dragons. It's his system. He runs it very, very well. I'm on a couple of those live streams, which is an awful lot of fun. Yeah, go check them out as well. That's a crap beer, but just perfect for what I need right now. Okay. Let's get the brush cleaned off and work out what I'm doing next. Good evening, Bob. How are you doing? Okay, what do I want to do next? You know what? I'm going to crack in with... Yeah, I'm going to crack in with Blood for the Blood God. No. Smack me camera. Oh. How's it going, Bob? How are you doing? What are you up to at the moment? Okay, so where do I want blood? Historically, this is going back a long way. Oh wow, Cragside. It's a decent day, that. Decent day. So historically, I've always put way too much blood on things. Blood for the Blood God's one of those wonderful paints in that it's specifically designed to dry slightly brownish, and also in a very blood-like fashion, which is nice because painting it straight with straight red can be a little bit, sometimes. So what I'm going to try and do. This guy has, because he's a poxwalker, he's got a bunch of maggots basically pouring out of his stomach. So, what I'm going to try and do is get a little bit of blood just around the edges, and then kind of coating the maggot slightly, but also drifting off it. Like feed a little lettuce, that's pizza knife. You want blood? Bob, I used to put blood out. I wish I had some of the minis that I painted back in the late '90s, because those things, yeah, it was blood everywhere. Like, I don't know what they were doing, but they were doing some horrendous things. My old Space Marines. So there we go. You might not be able to see it, but there's just a little coating just around the just around the edges, and then just kind of on the inside of where the maggots are, so that they can kind of pop out through this blood without looking like they're made of it. I haven't finished off that knife, or I put some on there as well. It's a little frustrating. There is a guy around the back though, so we'll crack some on there. Surround that little maggot on the back. Yeah, no, we'll leave it like that. I don't want to overdo it. I don't want to risk it looking like the hammer's basically painted red. This axe, on the other hand, I might have to dry brush that silver. I might not be able to get away with painting straight onto it. Corn. No, these are... so I was describing before. These minis are Nurgle Poxwalkers. So they're like, essentially they're the 8th edition version of Nurgle's Plague Zombies. But for the game tomorrow, they're being used as humans that have been experimented on by a tech priest. Yeah, I'm gonna have to give these a dry brush and silver before I start putting any blood on their weapons. They're just a little bit too dark. Phoebes are known for their bloodthirsty antics. Skulls for the Phoebe throne. Okay, so let's do this the right way around then. Let's get some silver. No, that's Celestra Grey. Ah, Celestra Grey. I didn't even realise I had another grey. Oh. Funnily enough, I don't actually have any plague bearers. My silver might be a little past its prime. Seems to be mostly made, or mostly clumping up at the moment. So let's see if this works. Oh, it does. That should brighten it up just a little bit while still letting it feel like old and knackered and rusty. Yeah, I'm a fan of that. Oh crap. Pick out the plague fly a little bit. Let's see if I can grab those. Seems I can. Pick out the chainmail a little bit, because why not? It's him done. Now we can get the hammer. Let's see if I can do this without picking out the wood too much. So that was at 5+4. Well, there's a question I haven't asked you in a while, Bob. How's your Pathfinder game going? I still need to play Pathfinder at some point, because considering it's it's a huge part of the D&D, well, the D&D, like the RPG community, the tabletop RPG community. Yeah, I've never played that system. Okay. So metal dry brushing done. I feel like I'm going to have to buy some more Necron compound, because that's it's a little difficult to use at the moment. Let's get Bullet for the Blood God back out then. Where on earth did I put that? Yeah, it appears to have vanished. Which isn't, you saw, it's literally right next to me. Huh. In terms of monsters, the best bit of advice I can give you with that is, well, two things. First of all, if you want to buy the bestiary, Paizo have just released the small format books. So instead of being like letter-sized, American letter-sized pages, they're much more like an A5 style, or an A5 size. And they've got, you know, they're an awful lot cheaper. I think for the paperback it's like 18 quid or something. Which doesn't, you know, still isn't perfect. It's still, you know, not the cheapest thing in the world. But you know, it is cheaper than I think the original hardbacks are about 30 quid or something. Alternatively, if I remember rightly, in fact, no, yeah. So without wanting to get too technical, the Pathfinder game is based on D&D 3.5's system reference document. So essentially, Wizards of the Coast made large parts of the basic rules of D&D free for people to create their own content. And Paizo went away and developed Pathfinder, which is, you know, a variation on the 3.5 rules. That's why it's known as D&D 3.75. So a lot of those old 3.5 monsters will still work perfectly in Pathfinder. I think, I might be wrong about this, but I think Pathfinder has its own SRD because it grew out of an SRD. Again, could be completely wrong about that. But it might be worth a look. Just googling. I know 3.5 has a wiki that has a bunch of free resources. Be it you know, homebrewed monsters, all that kind of thing. So if it is literally just monsters that are keeping you out of gaming, give them a look. Give like old 3.5 books a look, that kind of thing. You'll see a ton of stuff in there. Alternatively, just use D&D monsters. You know, you've run monsters. You're going to know roughly how they work and how strong things are. So just pick monsters out of the 5th edition SRD, because they are in there, and run with it. You know, just throw stuff at your party. Make up your own monsters. Create variations of things. Reskin things. And you know, your party members aren't going to know. They're not sitting reading the bestiary at home. As for your other question, Kat is doing fine. I haven't spoken to her today, not since she left the house anyway. But she finished work about 10 minutes ago, theoretically. So she should be home relatively soon. I love the idea. This guy has a chain. Essentially, he's got a flail with two grenades on it, and I love the fact that he's got these 2 explosives strapped to a chain, but is just using them to beat people to death, rather than, you know, what grenades are generally used for. Cool. So that's the Poxwalkers pretty much done, actually. Just need to add the Nurgle's Rot. And do the facial details. Oh. So, tell you what, let's crack out red. Let's just go for that like malevolent, malevolent look. Now, do I have a smaller brush? I can't remember. I used to have an old fine detail brush, but I think I might be a little beyond its prime now. Yeah, half of those bristles are missing. So let's just crack on with what I've got here. There we go, not too bad. Oh, album's finished. Let's go find something. Go find something else that isn't the Dawn of War 3 soundtrack. What's my daily mix? What you got for me? You know what? Let's go for that. Ah! Knew it was going to happen eventually. Knocked one of their eyes. Like I said before, faces are absolutely not my strong suite. But at a distance, it shouldn't look too bad. And like I said, I'd much rather have crack at their faces, since they are such a part of what made these minis so gorgeous and so expressive. Nope, he's not quite done. Nope, bugger. He's gone. Okay, It's the iron's done. That wasn't easy. Okay, let's crack out old school skull white for the teeth. Tell you what, man, it's really the teeth. You pick these teeth out. The eyes are great. Where to put the white? You know, you pick out the eyes. I mean, you look closely, it looks fantastic. But then you pick out the teeth. And man alive, you can see their creepy ass grins from across the table. It's just such a stark contrast. Like the green. You got those dark, muddy, awful green shades. In fact, let's add a little bit of water into that, 'cause it's a little bit old. But yeah, all those kind of dark green, muddy, like greys and washed out colours, and then you add in a bright, vibrant white smile. And it just picks it out. Picks it right out. He doesn't have any teeth because he's wearing a gas mask. He'll do as well. Oh. Okay. Hope you can see his little face there. Oh man. Okay. Nurgle's Rot. And it's the last real work I have to do on these guys. And then I just base them, honestly. A lot of these guys are tabletop ready, as far as I'm concerned, considering that I've got other work to be doing. It's just a case of basing them and then making sure that they're, you know, actually painted. There's a couple of these guys who, you know, still need, I mean, not the Poxwalkers, but I've got a few cultists there that realistically still need base coating, never mind anything else. So, for the Nurgle's Rot, I'm looking for any detail, like burst pustules, anything like that. So, I'm going to be looking at, see if I can just get up a little bit, see if I can pull this in a little bit closer. That's where I'm going to be painting. So let's zoom in a little. I seem unable to zoom in. Okay, let's pull this thing out and zoom in a bit. Man alive, come on. Phone, what are you doing? My screen stopped working. Fantastic. There we go. Screen bloody stopped working. Oh, let's get this fixed then. Okay, there we go. Is that picking that up again? Yes, it is. Tremendous. Okay, so there we go. So I'm aiming to get these. Oh, don't worry about it, Bob. So I'm aiming to get these like little burst pustules and stuff. Just take a little bit of Nurgle's Rot, this kind of really viscous, semi-transparent, well, translucent paint. Just get it right in there and just have it leaking out in big globules. And then that'll dry. Nice and wet looking. Part of me's tempted to give. No, part of me's tempted to give the tentacles like a wet look, but I'm not. I don't think I'm going to. On my Plague Marines, I went a little step further as well, and added a load of pus around like the horns and stuff as well. But I think on these that might just be a little bit overkill. Those ones, you had horns like bursting out of armor plates and stuff like that. Whereas these, it's fair enough, it's coming out of the skin, but I just feel like it'll be a little bit too much. Especially around the head. That said, though, this shoulder, let's get this out of the way a little bit. This shoulder, I might stick a little bit. Stick it welling up in there. Pustules. There's a few bits and bobs on the back here, isn't there, that I can just like lob a bit in. So running down the spine. And yeah, you know what? Let's do it. Just around this shoulder. Just in amongst. Hello, Lincoln Park. Oh, there are two pustules there. I'm being blind. Oh. Next one. This guy doesn't have a huge amount. I kind of want to do something about that Nurgle symbol on his stomach. Like the three circles just there. but I'm not sure I'm going to. No, you know what? I'm going to leave him as is. This guy, however, this guy already has pus dribbling down from his face mask. So this is going to get liberally lathered with this stuff. A bit more on there. I also like the idea that you've got little bits of pus just dribbling out of these holes on the axe. Just to give an idea that it's not just him that's plague-ridden, that it translates to his weapon as well. Which fits a lot with Nurgle. Couple of pustules on there just to fill in. That's him done. My trust in you. Pustule to fill. I'm going to leave the weapon for this one. And last but not least, this Smiler, who doesn't really seem to have any pustules, so let's just lob some dribbling out of his head. And covering those horns, well, not covering, but you know, on those horns and the like. What on earth is this? Huh. Sounds like Foo Fighters. It's Puddle of Mud. I can't remember the last time I listened to Puddle of Mud. Okay. Oh, yeah, baby. Okay. So those minis just need basing now. So, to move on to player characters. Oh, bloody hell. Okay, so... Oh, I've moved the camera there. Oh, come on. I feel like my iPhone cable is not the finest. There we go. Okay. So, my wife's character, her mini unfortunately isn't here, so it's been temporarily replaced with a Zombicide miniature. She's playing a member of the Administratum. and my connection speed, my upload rate is 30 megabits per second. The last time I checked, the lowest I've ever seen is 9 megabits a second. I've tried streaming on less than that. In particular, I used to try streaming on like 1.2 at best, and that didn't stand a chance. I am currently with EE. I got a discount from them because I was an existing customer from their like Black Friday deals. So yeah, I'm with EE. Oh yeah. Doesn't seem ideal considering that OBS is like, well, I'm using OBS now. It's one of the most popular streaming services. So the mini I'm using now. Oh. I've found, I've found EE to be absolutely fine. You do have spikes in your connection speed. You do have, you've got lows, but realistically, it happens with everybody. We moved from Sky, who were appalling. I say appalling. They weren't awful, but they weren't great either. Connection speeds were iffy at times. In the end, pretty much everybody comes through BT anyway, except Virgin. I realise. So it's much of a muchness. I would just go with whoever's cheapest and hope. Try and get if you can get fibre optic, because you're likely to get a better connection speed at least. That's pretty much what I did. I just went for fibre optic because I knew that, if it dropped below certain levels, then I'd have recourse to go, well, this isn't acceptable. Get your act together. Whereas broadband, I'm dealing with such small numbers. So with this guy, if it looks a little bit dodgy, if the whole thing looks a little bit uneven, it's because it is. What I'm doing here, I've base coated the model white, and I'm having a crack at, and hoping that it works, glazing the miniature rather than painting it, to give a deeper red. I've used the same. In fact, give us a second. So I used the. Man alive, that's not understandable. So I used the same technique for my Thousand Suns, base coating in silver. And then glazing over the top to give it a metallic sheen. And I also used it for my Imperial Fists, which were base coated bone, dry brush white, and then glazed over with a yellow glaze. So what I'm trying to do with this one is I base coated the whole thing in white. And I'm glazing in subsequent layers of the Spirit Stone technical paint to give it a kind of a deep, kind of blood-ready feel. I think what I'm going to do is give it a red glaze as a final layer, but I don't know, or red wash I should say, sorry. But we will see. I'm hoping it works out because I don't have time to strip the model. I certainly don't have time to paint the mini again. Just got my fingers crossed right now. Cool, so you can go off to one side. So that's Liam Lowry's character, the as yet nameless death cult assassin, who's outfitted in. I kind of wanted to make him look as ever-sorry as possible. So he's wearing Eldar Guardian armor essentially, using an Eldar Striking Scorpion's chainsword and carrying a standard issue las pistol. Okay, so Interrogator, hopefully soon to be Inquisitor, Kren Atori, played by the titular Andy Barker. Overall, pretty happy so far. I don't think there's a huge amount I still have to do, apart from base the mini. There's a few. I'll tell you what, there is some stuff I can do on the base before I properly base it. And that's just give the rocks a bit of a dry brush, just to give them a little bit of texture so that they're not quite so flat. Also, you know what I'm going to give the boots a slight dry brush of Terminus Stone. Again, again, just to give them a little bit of a lift above, just being straight black. Cool. Okay, the one mini that I really do have to do something with is War Administratum Lass, who again doesn't have a name yet. Hair. What am I going to do? I'll tell you what I will do. First, do I have a red wash? Null oil. Yes. So, let's get some Carberg Crimson down. In fact, so I don't want it to overpower anything, and I can't be bothered to give it another hard. It's the word I'm looking for. Dry brush. So, water it down so that it just kind of falls into the recesses a bit more. Okay, so we've got the wash going on there. We'll dry brush over that to highlight it. I think I've got a red dry brush paint down here, but I can't say that with any real degree of certainty. Yes, Astropath red. Sorry, Astaroth red. Which makes a lot more sense. What have we got after that? After that, I need to paint a hair. I want to go blonde. But I might not. No, I'm not. I'm going to go grey. And no, I can't get to paint that just yet because it's still drying. How's this guy doing? Doing alright for the time being. Okay. Servo skull's looking fine. Do a bit of Nuln oil. Offspring? I think it's the Offspring. It certainly sounds like the Offspring. I don't know if you can, I assume you can hear this. This microphone's not exactly going to be picking out too much. No, that's Green Day. Sounds like New Green Day though, which I do not know very well. Oh, time to 6:15. Okay, I'm going to go and get some basing materials, and we're going to, in fact, I'm going to have to paint these bases first. It's a detail brush, so I don't need that. This down, and then the reason I paint these bases, so I'll be flocking them eventually, is just I have too much experience with like little bits of black base or grey base or something showing through. So the idea here is just to give enough coverage that if something shows through, or if I don't quite get to the edge of the base or whatever, that it doesn't end up distracting me when I'm using them. Because that's a thing that happens. After that, once this is dried, I'll be going around the edge of the base in black, just to hide the, basically just to make all of the bases look uniform. And I prefer to go with black. I don't know why. I think because that's what I'm used to seeing is like the edge of the base, really unpainted. But when you've spray painted a complete miniature, it's a little bit difficult to not spray paint the edge of the base. Two. I know this song. Who is this? Oh, Dinosaur June. Great band, not generally very well known as far as I'm aware, but fantastic band. Recommend going and listening to what's it called? Freak Scene on Bug. Fantastic album, fantastic song. Like really melodic grunge music. I love the fact that even though at a first listen it sounds a lot like it's just noise, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. There's so much melody hidden behind like screaming harmonics and feedback and all that kind of thing. Especially the guitar solos in Freak Scene are fantastic for that. Okay, so that's that done. Cool. I think I'm going to call it the day there. There's a few bits and bobs I need to finish off. There's a few bits and bobs that realistically I still need to paint. But the wife's coming home. I need to tidy the house a little bit, and I also need to finish off adapting the adventure itself. I've got it all in my head, but I want to make sure it's down on paper. Partially so that I can make a video on it, and partially so that I know that everything's there. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this in some description. This might make it up to the channel, it might not, who knows. Anyway, thank you for joining. Thank you for coming on this journey with me as I paint mostly poxwalkers, actually, now that I realise it. Anyway, thank you very much. I will see you hopefully pretty soon. Hopefully, we get a bit more content up on this website, on this channel, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.